How do we take the hardest character in Shapeofdreams and turn them into a one-button invincible monster? In this video, I'll teach you the ways of the samurai and how to go from fighting for your life to being completely unstoppable. So sit back, relax, and enjoy this build guide for Shell, the ultimate assassin of Shapeofdreams.
Greetings, Warlord.
Here's a quick look at the build for Shell that I'm going to be talking about in this video. Shell is one of the more difficult characters to play, but with this guide I'm going to give you tips to help survive the painful early game and be rewarded with near permanent invulnerability. If you watched my last build guide that I made for Vesper, we saw the power of Essence of Obsidian and cooldown reduction. We're going to apply that same logic here with Shell, however, he's not as easy to pick up and play and certainly not as tanky. So I'm going to give you some tips on how to play the character and to keep yourself alive long enough to see this build come online. So now let's take a closer look at the character and the build. Unlike the other characters in the game, Shell doesn't have alternate abilities to choose from, so you won't need to worry about unlocking other skills. His first ability is Laceration, which is going to be our main focus in this build. Laceration has two different effects depending on which form you're in. You have a red form and a blue form, and your basic attacks will alternate between forms. If you're in the red form, Laceration becomes a short dash attack. The first time you hit an enemy with the dash, the cooldown of the skill is reduced by 35%. With the right essences, you can chain dash between multiple enemies. Just make sure you don't miss. In blue form, the ability changes to become an AoE that deals slightly more damage than red form. When casting this skill, there's a short delay between the startup of the skill and the actual attack, and during that time you remain airborne and become completely invulnerable. So of course, we're going to find a way to exploit this and spam this ability for near permanent invulnerability. We're going to be running Precise Strike with this, which reduces the cooldown by 30% while hitting only one target. Our ultimate is Annihilation Stance, but we're going to be running Controlled Madness to turn it into a regular ability on a 14-second cooldown. Doing this will reduce its damage, attack damage bonus, and duration, but allow us to use other memories while it's active. This ability isn't super important for our build, and it will mostly be useful early on in the run when we're at our weakest. Later on, it can be used for its attack damage buff or replaced with another memory. Our passive makes it so that when we gain attack speed, it will instead be converted to attack damage, starting at 0.5 attack for every 1% attack speed. Additionally, our passive makes it so that after a dash or teleport, our next basic attack will be a critical hit. This passive alters the character's gameplay in a way where you'll be weaving movement abilities in between basic attacks. It also restores some health based on our attack damage when defeating a boss, which is a nice bonus. These are the stars I like to run with Shell. We're using Black Market, Monstrous Charm, Bounty, and Bizarre Spoils to increase the chances of getting the essences we need from the merchant, or from a mini-boss. Beginner's Luck is here to increase the quality of the first essence we equip, which is great if we're using Deja Vu. Sharp Negotiator is going to reduce merchant prices, but this one's mostly optional. For life, we only get 3 slots, so I'm running the common max health on Level Up, or you could run Complete Immersion in this slot instead for more dodging. Gunpowdered Propelled Leap increases the cooldown of our dodge by 1 second, but gives us an additional charge and increases the distance. And I run Second Wind, which lets us ignore fatal damage once per game. Because Shell is still pretty squishy, and even when you can spam his blue form, there's still a tiny window in between casts where you can still take damage. Shell has a ton of slots for Destruction Stars, so I'm putting Precise Strike and Controlled Madness here. I'm also running Valiant Challenger, Purpose of Existence, and since our laceration damage is dark damage, I'm also running Corrupted Mind. I run both crit damage stars since it pairs well with the guaranteed crit from our passive, Soul Acceleration to further reduce cooldowns of movement abilities, and Burning Bloodlust to give us a huge attack damage boost in the first 3 maps to really help with the early game. So what essences should you be looking for during a run? Well, for Deja Vu we're running Obsidian on Laceration. Since both forms of Laceration trigger attack effects, pairing it with this essence will reset the cooldown and allow us to chain the ability. During our run, we're going to want to look for Essence of Predation for increased damage to bosses, or Essence of Confidence, which increases the damage dealt to nearby enemies. Predation is better against bosses, but Confidence is better for general map clearing, so it's worth holding on to both of them and slotting them as needed. Like I mentioned before, there's a tiny window between blue form Laceration where you could possibly take damage, so it's nice to have some healing in this build. Essence of Clemency, or Essence of Umbra on our Laceration will give us all the healing we need. For Chaos Upgrade priority, you want to look for Essence quality for Obsidian, or Memory rank upgrades to Laceration. After that, you want to look for attack damage or attack speed. I don't usually invest in my passive, but if you do, attack speed is going to win out over attack damage. As for memory haste, this one you can pick it up if you feel like you want more cooldown reduction for your other memories or for blue form, but in the long run you're going to get plenty of cooldown reduction from obsidian essence and from ranking up your laceration. With this build, your red form is going to be resetting on hit most of the time, even at the start of a run, so we can always rely on red form early on until we get to the point where we can spam blue form. And of course, more health is always nice, so if you feel you don't need any more haste, you can always pick up more health. How should we be spending Dream Dust during a run? We need to reduce the cooldown of laceration, so at first, I like to upgrade it with dust until about rank 5 or 6. After that, I'll mainly use boss souls or other free upgrades to get the most value out of upgrading this skill. Once I feel good about the rank of laceration, I'll start going all in on obsidian. You'll have to find a good balance, but upgrades to obsidian offer better attack damage scaling than laceration. When you reach the point where cooldown reduction from obsidian is resetting your laceration, then you can start pumping up your damage essence, predation, or confidence for percent damage increase. This game has a lot of tricks and mechanics that aren't really made clear to the player. If I had to pick one that was most important to Shell, it would be basic attack reset. I talked about this a little bit in my Vesper guide, and Shell can benefit from this as well. How does it work? Well, you can use memories or dodges to cancel your basic attacks and reset the attack timer. So for Shell, you can utilize this technique with his passive, and this gets really fun when you use it with Annihilation Stance to rapid fire basic attacks. Another quick tip is using Shadow Walk with this build. If we miss a laceration, it's going to leave the skill on cooldown and leave us a sitting duck. Since Shadow Walk fires ranged projectiles at a nearby enemy that trigger attack effects, it's going to trigger obsidian and reset the cooldown of our laceration, so this memory is great to pair with this build. I like to look for memories that pair well with Shell's passive, or increase survivability. Shadow Walk and Swift Slash are both dashes and work great with Shell. I also sometimes like to grab Repulsive Shield or Burrow to help with the fireball phase during the Primus fight. Well, that's about it for the basics. To recap, we're going to use Deja Vu for Essence of Obsidian on our laceration, for chain dashes in red form, and almost permanent invulnerability with blue form. We're going to look for Essence of Predation or Confidence for damage, and Clemency or Umbra for healing. Then we're going to level up our laceration and obsidian for damage and cooldown reduction, then invest in Predation or Confidence for 4% damage. We're going to look for memories like Swift Slash and Shadow Walk that work well with our passive and also trigger attack effects. And we can pick up memories like Repulsive Shield or Burrow to help with boss mechanics. How do we get the memories and essences we need during our run? Our star loadout is going to give us platinum coins and more items at the merchant to help with consistency. So I hope you enjoyed this build guide for Shell, and I hope you learned something new. If you did, leave a like or maybe even subscribe. If you have any tips to improve the build, feel free to leave a comment, and if you have any questions, I usually try to respond to all my comments. The character's a lot of fun to play once you get the hang of him, so I hope you give him a try. I'll leave you with this clip where I tried to showcase everything I talked about today in this guide against this boss. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.